of Greg Biffle and his legacy. Carly, I know you're a NASCAR fan.
Yes.
And we got to speak with someone pretty cool.
Miles, just about an hour ago, got the chance to speak with Doug Rice. And if anybody has ever listened to the Performance Racing Network, he was the legendary play-by-play calling these races for years and years. He just stepped out of the booth, I want to say, is like last year was his last time calling the race. I mean, legend in just motorsports broadcasting.
Sure.
Still the president of PRN, I believe. So very influential guy. Been in the game for decades.
Yeah.
So called a countless number of races that Biffle drove in.
Sure, had fostered a personal relationship with him as well
sure.
over the years. So Miles got a chance to speak with him about how he hopes his legacy will be remembered.
Doug, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Obviously, we're following up on the unfortunate tragedy when it comes to Greg Biffle and his family. I want to ask you, what is your relationship with Doug, or with Greg?
Well, I covered Greg as a racer for his entire NASCAR career when he was in the Cup Series. He had a really nice career with Jack Roush, and so I covered him that way. Had many, many opportunities to interview Greg over the years, and there was one year that he was one of our rotating co-hosts on our syndicated show, Fast Talk, after the passing of Benny Parsons, and he and Benny were really tight. We just thought it appropriate to bring Greg in and have him co-host some shows. So I knew him fairly well. We were not close, but we had a nice working relationship.
What would you say, whether it was a racer or as a person, that really stuck out with him, though?
He was very fan-forward. I did a show on Sirius XM yesterday for 5 hours and talked to a lot of fans. And the interaction I got from every one of them was, I met Greg Biffle. He stopped and talked to me. He signed my hat. He engaged me in conversation. He didn't blow me off. And that says a lot. And that helped grow a Legions of fan. And I feel like he was almost an everyman. He never gave the air that he was above the people that were pulling for him. He was one of them, and I think that made it a lot easier to like the guy.
I was going to say, because I feel like, that reflects on kind of the work that he did even outside the track as well, with his humanitarian work with Hurricane Helene, things of that nature, right? So
he was a very blue-collar guy. I think that's accepting. Let me rephrase that. He was very blue-collar. But that's even harder when you've had the level of fame and success that Greg Biffle enjoyed. He won 19 races. He won a Craftsman Truck Championship. He won a Busch Series title. So he won a lot and was very famous, but it didn't get to him. He maintained his kind of middle-class background, I think.
So let me ask you then, though, too, because I know that you said you had somewhat of a relationship, not super close, but what was your reaction to hearing the news that kind of broke yesterday?
Oh, just devastated. Just absolutely devastated. I don't think, even though these type of things happen all the time in the world that we're in, you ever get used to them. And the part that just knocked me back was I realized his family was on there and 3 other people. This was not just a singular thing. This was a tragedy that is just hard to wrap your arms around, especially when you know one of the people and you realize he disappeared along with his family.
And not my last question, but I do want to ask you, how will you plan to remember Greg moving forward?
That is a very good question. I'm going to remember Greg Biffle in 2 different ways. One, that he was a very good race car driver. He will probably be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He won 19 races, and he raced for the same team the entire time he was in the Cup Series. But as of late, with all of the humanitarian things that he did in helping resupply the people in the western North Carolina mountains, that's the freshest memory I have of Greg Biffle. So I think it's going to be 2 things. One, that he was a really, really good racer, but he may have been a better person than he was a NASCAR driver, and he was pretty good at both.
What do you make of, I'm kind of catching up with it a little bit, though, too, but seeing the reaction throughout the all-sports world, but specifically with the motorsports world, we're seeing guys like Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, all these guys kind of reacting to this news, though, as well. What do you make about that? What do you think that says about the community of NASCAR as well, wrapping around this family during this time?
Well, Biffle was very well respected. When he left the game, there was nobody going, well, I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's out of here. He he earned and garnered the respect of everybody he ever raced against. That's not saying that he didn't have a couple of disagreements along the way, but he was super well respected. And he came back kind of late in his career and won a truck race down at Texas Motor Speedway. So he still had talent left in the tank when he walked away. And it is interesting to watch the NASCAR community join together like this, especially when it's about a week away from the settlement of an antitrust lawsuit that people thought was going to tear the sport apart. And here they come, as they always do in the time of tragedy, and everybody sings with one voice.
And I think, again, that goes back and echoing the kind of impact that Greg has had with that world and that community as well, right? I mean, that says that turns that full circle to go back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And people in the NASCAR world saw the same thing. A person that was giving, had a lot of philanthropy, but also a person that was very talented that contributed to the sport on the track. And I am glad that Greg received some notoriety for what he did away from the track. I am so pleased that the state of North Carolina recognized him. He got the Order of the Longleaf Pine Award, which is the highest civilian award, and he very well deserved that.
My last question that I have for you, though, Doug, because you mentioned it a little bit ago, he had a lot of success on the track, though, as well, right? But he just treated everybody as if, he was one of them. How rare or how hard is that to come by in any sports world, but specifically with what with NASCAR?
I think it's very difficult because NASCAR drivers and pro athletes all across the board are very busy people by nature. It's practice, it's playing, and they have very little time to themselves, especially the drivers. And for him to go that extra mile to relate to the fans and take that time, that says a lot about him. I don't think he ever lost track of the fact that the fans, the people that watch on television, listen on the radio, and buy the tickets are the life's blood of this sport. And I think he went out of his way to pay that back over and over.